Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, we see here, Hoe-math is whining about Islam yet again. This guy's been going around sleeping with women. He doesn't have a family. He says he's weak from COVID. He's just kind of a mess now that the more I see his rhetoric. This guy is perpetually falling every time he sees a Muslim woman. Okay? Now, he calls women hoes, makes fun of women, but is somehow really pissy that there's a religion out there that helps women become pious and more virtuous. Ironic, but he writes, Islam was trying to conquer an R-word Europe for 1,000 years. But they have very suddenly stopped trying to do that because I saw a TV show that told me to be nice. When my TV shows say, be nice, then everyone will definitely be nice. Even people who didn't see the show, even if they have been trying to conquer an R-word me for 1,000 years. Inner monologue of half of Europe. Okay, Valentina Gomez and Hoe-math can't stop thinking about R-wording. Isn't that creepy? I mean, someone check their computers here. What is this obsession? Like, do they have like a jihadi calendar where it's just like a different ethnicities of bearded men all oiled up and say, I'm gonna R-word you. It's like a BDSM calendar. Like, they're in camo pants and they got their abs showing and they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna hold you down and force this big tradong on you. Isn't that weird? That's what it's coming off as. A sort of fetish content. Because there's two ways you can see that word. It's like, the first time, like when Sansa is R-worded by Ramsay Bolton, you see that scene, it's pretty intense. But Ramsay was white. And then you look at the aspect of psychology-wise that talks about just having women desiring dominant men who are not effeminate, who are not flaming. And then you begin to see that when someone mentions R-wording, you gotta break it down. You gotta be like, are you just confusing an assertive male, or are you talking about the more violent aspect? Because when someone is trying to bring about that image in your brain, you have to ask yourself further, why are you always bringing up this violent action? Why is that? This sounds like a lot like a confession, like you got an obsession, like who walks around thinking about that all the time. Very peculiar behavior. And there's nothing wrong with being civil to Muslims. And what does he mean by conquer? Getting rid of casinos, getting rid of strip clubs, getting rid of drug dealers? Oh, women will no longer be these occultic feminist harpies? Oh, there'll be more pro-family conversations. Oh, kids will be praying. The nightmare! Think about it. People will not look at how America and Western powers have done colonization, have put sanctions on countries so they can't grow, and then the human spirit, when it's not broken, tries to survive and thrive, and they migrate. If you look at this planet, they say it's always spinning, right? If you look at humans and like the weather patterns change, people travel and move. It's easier now more than ever. They think that Muslims should have their lands in the Middle East, well, really anywhere where Muslims are, they should be sanctioned, oppressed, everything should be destroyed, and then they should not be able to move. What? That is quite absurd. Quite absurd. You can't just ruin someone's house and be like, now you have to stay here in the rubble where there's no food, no water, no infrastructure, and where we're going to drone strike you all the time. You can't come to a place that has more stability. Sorry, you got to stay where you are, and that's that. Again, that doesn't work. Would Hoe-math want that for him? And if I don't think he has children, but if he had children, would he want that for them? would he want for his grandchildren? If he's not even Christian, but from my understanding, if they were Christians and let's say some Buddhists took over, but there was some violence in that region, and the Buddhists said, hey, you're Christian, you cannot come into our territory, you can't buy from our markets, you cannot rent in our infrastructure, you can't come here, and you have to remove the cross, and you cannot do nothing here. The Christians would say, this isn't right, this isn't fair, how dare you? But yet, at the same time, they want it to where Muslims cannot escape the hellish conditions that they did not choose. And America has tried to force Burger King, McDonald's, Nike, Adidas, all that onto them. They have wanted to suppress the Islamic standard of behavior for quite some time. And so it's no accident that you have people saying, you know what, you've ruined where we live, and we're gonna go somewhere else if we can. Now, the people of Palestine and Afghanistan have stayed for their territories' possession. They've not given up. Afghanistan has survived quite a lot, and I commend them for that. But there are a lot of people who do migrate, and in the Quran, I can't remember the exact number of the ayat, but it talks about the spaciousness of earth. You can move. If one place isn't working out, you can move to another. And if there's corruption in the land, you can move. I'm summarizing it. I'm sure someone in the comments can write that down. Either way, Muslims can move. You can migrate. There's nothing wrong with trying to find greener pastures so that you don't have your house falling in on your head if you have the ability to leave. If you don't have the ability, you have patience and you try to survive and thrive to the best of your ability, right? But Europe used to have way more chaos. The Holy Roman Empire, France and England going at it. I mean, just France and England, just their history in general. The civil wars in France. I mean, French, they're people, they love to riot, man. They always got something going on. And so, Europeans are not all united in their creeds. When I read Niccolo Machiavelli's book, The Prince, it was fascinating to see how the history of Italy was not all united and peaceful and loving. The Medicis, you have all these different families going at it, doing stuff, and you're like, wow, we don't learn that in school, really. You look at Greece, Athens, and Sparta. Like, there's so much fascinating history out there, and these people pretend like all Europeans believe the same things and never had problems. And then you're like, what is going on here? The fact that the Protestants and Catholics were going at each other for a long time in Europe, trying to conquer one another, and that isn't brought up because it's done by white people. But all of a sudden, all Muslims must not be white, and they're only coming to cause harm and hurt people. It's just bizarre. See, in the past, we don't really have a lot of like today, information travels easily, and there's more abundance. But to learn about the past, we have to read books at Tabari. We have like great libraries, but unfortunately so many people don't have the patience to read. And so it takes great people who know how to edit to make documentaries and to write, so that others can be, who are more visual learners, auditorial learners. There's different types of learning methods that help different people. But how should I put it? Europe has a large history, so does Islam. Looking in the past, you can see there's way more nuance than how people such as Hoe-math present it. He'll have you thinking that no one could ever get along with Islam and that everyone always got along with Christians. So when Christians were out colonizing, they weren't trying to conquer? You're telling me not one of their soldiers R-worded any woman or male? You gotta be joking me. That crime of R-wording is terrible, and it's perpetuated in all cultures, by all races, and it's something that's very depraved, but it's not just a terrible, abhorrent action committed in the Ummah of Muslims. Okay, if that was the case, you wouldn't have priests getting in trouble all the time. So, what else is he saying here? Don't be nice. Oh, a TV show. So, when you mention a TV show, he's trying to explain that, oh, because I saw it on TV, it must be true. Gadur, gadur. Pause. What is he getting at? Okay, don't do what the TV says. Be rude, be mean, be cruel. Because the opposite of nice, the antonym, is being uncordial, disharmonious, not being civil. So, he's calling people to treat Muslims worse. There's no way around it. Alright? Now, is that going to help communities become stronger? How many Muslims, if they started to study and apply what Islam says, okay, stay sober, don't do this, don't do that, it would make the communities much better. He doesn't acknowledge that. He's not trying to study. He's not trying to learn. Okay? He thinks he's some expert on Islam, but he's not. He takes time studying Hoes. He's not a theologian. He's not a scholar. He's not a historian. Shame on him. But I think it's important that us Muslims pay attention to the rhetoric that's being used against us, and hopefully more Muslims will do collabs. I'm open to do collabs with people. We need to have more Islamic content being made. If somebody can, if you know your local scholar, like, help them start a YouTube channel to, like, do stuff. You know, make a video of what do you love about being a Muslim and how you think Islam benefits the world, and create something, because maybe your algorithm isn't being force-fed Zio content, but my algorithm is not even accurate anymore on X. It should be way different, but I keep getting Zio content force-fed into my feed and anti-Muslim content, which tells me that Elon is always retweeting anti-Muslim posts as well, and anti-Muslim influencers, unfortunately. So it's important for us to understand the media landscape, and that we have to keep pushing. I know people who live in Muslim countries may be like, oh, we're fine here, but you have to look at the long game. If nations that have a lot of military might want to cause problems for Muslims, that doesn't help us. We can make change by creating content that is thought-provoking, humorous, accurate, and people deserve to hear the truth about Islam. People deserve to hear the truth about our religion from us, and not from people who are paid $7,000 to spread propaganda against us. Right? So, think about what I said, and this idea that Islam encourages R-wording is just abhorrent. Because if you remember the hadith that talks about, you know, what happens if you... It's better to get a hot poker in your eye than touch a woman who is not permissible for you. You begin to realize, these people are making shit up. We're not even supposed to free mix, let alone go around R-wording people. This is so bizarre, but these people, they don't have any shame. They don't have any honor. They don't want to be accurate. They just want to inflame. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and keep us steadfast upon His religion. Ameen.